Hi guys, I've seen a few videos on YouTube of people saying this is how I use my Helix, and that kind of varies from people using it in like stomp mode, I suppose, like a traditional pedal board, or using it in patch mode, or using snapshots all the time off one or a couple of main presets. So do you know what? I thought I'd throw my hat in the ring, and I don't think I'm doing anything terribly different to anybody else, but I thought I'd share the way that I go about using Helix, and also using Helix in conjunction with my Variax as well, which are my main guitars for playing with the cover band. So let's dive in, have a look, and then I'll look forward to all the comments of how I'm doing it right or wrong or whatever. Yeah, pass your comments. Love to see it. Cheers, guys. So this is my live setup, playing with the covers band. Main bits of kit: Helix floor, of course, the Boss SY300 in the loop of the Helix. There's a separate video on that and how that works. And my main guitar, I suppose, when I'm out is the James Tyler Variax. This is just happens to be the one with the P90s, because I like the P90s when I'm not using any effects on it. So that's my main guitar. You'll see that it's kind of double plugged in, I suppose. So it's going into the Variax input on the back of the Helix, as well as the guitar input. The main reason for that, I suppose, is because I believe you can run it all out of the Cat5 cable, but I just found I don't know, a sound difference of some sort. So I run both cables. Maybe that's because on some of the patches I use, I'm using the straight pickups without any sort of Variax stuff going on. The main reason I use the Variax is not for lots of different guitar sounds. I probably have maximum 2 guitar sounds, I would say, that I'm using when it's in Variax mode. Pretty much I'm using the Variax mag pickups, magnetic pickups. So that's the sound I just prefer, I've come to like, and that's kind of my go-to. But I use the in Variax mode, I'm using the Gibson Les Paul Special sound, which I particularly like, and then I'm using one of the acoustic sounds as well, which we use on a couple of songs, and that can be beneficial because you can kind of rig that through to switch with normal electric sounds. Gets a bit complicated, but it is possible. So down to the Helix. My preferred way of working, don't hate me, is that I like to use song per patch. I'm not one of those guys that kind of has one setup and then effectively uses it as a digital pedal board kind of setup, I suppose, like a straight replacement for your normal analog pedal board. I don't use it that way. I do have standard go-tos though. So I have standard go-to amps set up. I use dual amps. I'm using an AC15 and a Fender Deluxe. They're going into an IR, which is a 4x12 V30s orange cabinet, I believe, is the sound. However much that description matters, you know, you just like the sound or you don't, right? So so I happen to like that particular IR. So those amps and that IR are used, well, the IR is used on every single patch I have. The amps I used, I would say on 90% of them. I have a slight change where I use a cleaner amp instead of the AC15 when I want a much cleaner kind of sound. I will always put at the front end of all my patches 10-band graphic, because the 10-band graphic allows you to shape the sound before it even gets to any of all this other rubbish that it's going to get processed by. I found that I got that off Tone Junkie, and I found that a really great tip. So if you're struggling with some consistency or some basic sound, then using a 10-band graphic on the front is a good suggestion. I have the wah set up. The wah is set up as a triggered wah off the pedal. I've done a video on that previously as well, I think. That just triggers as soon as the pedal gets to 5%, the wah switches itself on. Obviously you can attach a boost to that as well, and I do on certain songs. So then I think I'm going through a Klon and a Kinky Boost just to give me some options before it's hitting the amp. And then I tend to have some go-to flanger, chorus, very light touch on both of those, but those are in stereo, and then a dual delay at the end of it. I don't use any reverb at all on particularly on crunchy sounds. Shocker that may be, but I don't. So that, I guess, is my basic setup. So coming down here, what that enables me to do per patch is the only things I have on the scribble strips are what I need for that particular song. So I can set the tempo for that particular song and save it. I can have the delay options and boost options for that song set, saved, done. So then at a gig, I'm just stepping down through preset. Now when I go to ready to go, you'll see this time this is the only patch where I'm using snapshots. So I have to kind of hit that, and then I've got snapshots for acoustic, the wonderfully named Chug-a-Lug, which is sort of then into sort of more crunchy stuff. Another option for when the chorus of the song is there, and then a lifted volume wise option for the middle 8. So again, that's just using what's at my disposal, I guess, for the what's relevant for the song. So out of that, down again, you hear that little noise there. That's because that's just switched that over as well. So we now activated the Boss SY into this particular patch, and that's all done by MIDI. And then again, you'll see the foot switches I need for that patch are on the bottom. No more, nothing else to confuse me, because I am confusable. Right, so then again, so I can go down through these, and you'll see as the songs change, some of the foot switches change as well. But generally speaking, I'm not using a great deal of switching things around during songs. I guess one of the main things that I'm using the Variax for is shifting tunings, because we have a female vocal, and some songs you know, have to be lifted a couple of steps just to fit the right, so that they're fitting the sweet spot of her voice. So I find I either use the Variax for that, or I've actually started now using the Polycapo, which I find is very useful and is, to be honest, quite a bit easier to use than the simple sort of moving everything up 2 steps, everything down 2 steps in the Variax. So where the Variax does come in very useful is when you're working with songs that require something like Bohemian Like You, which I'm playing in open G. This is something the Helix on its own can't do, but within the Variax I can tune it to 5-string open G and even turn off the 6th string so that I've got effectively sort of got that a nice Keith Richards kind of thing going on. And all of that can be set on the foot switch for the patch. So if I'm in the preceding foot switch, hard to handle would be in normal tuning. So then I literally hit one button on the Helix, and that one button has just turned on the organ sound, the Hammond organ sound within the synthesizer, and it's retuned the guitar to a 5-string open G with just one lovely press of a button. So that's why I like this as a tool for the job. I know there's a lot of people out there that'll say sometimes the sounds in something like the Variax or sort of mixing synthesizers in and stuff like that isn't always great, and I get that. If you're a purist, this probably isn't for you, but as a tool for the job in a working covers band, this kind of ticks all of the boxes. I hope you found that useful, whether it indeed reinforced what you're doing, or you know, whether you've wondered, am I doing right, am I doing wrong, whether that's reinforced any opinions you have, changed any opinions, or challenged any opinions you have. I don't know, but I hope it's been useful. I hope you got something out of it. If anybody wants to throw some things into the comments to say, well, what about this bit? Have a look at this bit in a little bit more depth, would you? How do you do this bit? Then obviously, you know, these things are a rabbit hole, and you can go very deep down that rabbit hole. So yeah, feel free to ask, and I'll look at doing videos on specific items. So that's how I use the kit that I take out to gigs. The stuff you've seen there, I guess the Helix, the Boss, and the Variax is literally all I take. I plug straight in to the Behringer XAir 18 that we use, and going straight out stereo. It's pretty lightweight, and I'm certainly not lugging a huge amp around anymore, although there does seem to be a significant amount of other kit that goes with the band, so I'm not sure what I'm doing wrong there. But anyway, but you've seen that's how I use it. For right or for wrong, I'd love to see in the comments whether you like what I'm doing, whether you think I'm doing something wrong, whether you do it differently. Yeah, fill your boots. Let's get some comments in and get a discussion going. Cheers, guys. Talk to you soon.